Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Star Rail, and in today's video, we're talking about the drip marketing for patch 2.3. The two brand new 5-star limited characters that are coming. Not in the next, but the next patch is 2.2, and we're going to be talking about that with the live stream that's happening on Friday, of course, where we get to actually see what Robin and Boothill are going to do. And I guess we'll also find out there who the rerun characters are going to be. And we'll talk. We're going to talk a little bit about Topaz here today and what's going through my head. But today we're talking about these 2.3 characters, and I'm torn. I am I am so torn. My heart, the character I prefer goes one way, and then I think the character that is probably not only stronger for me, but most likely stronger for most people, just judging from the limited info we have so far, goes the other way, right? So let's break it down. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the heart first, because like I was face palming so hard earlier. Oh my god. I was okay. So Firefly seems to be insanely popular, right? I'm breaking this down into pros and cons. So let's go in to the pros here. So super popular. And because of super popular, potentially, right? OP, potentially OP. But here's the thing. I'm actually going to copy and I'm going to paste those right into the cons as well, because for me, those are kind of cons, honestly, as well. I don't love these super popular characters. You saw this with me with Acheron. Like, it just sort of puts me off a bit when, everyone is getting the character, or the character is really, really broken. Like, that to me is just, it makes it less interesting, which is a personal thing. So that's a personal thing, definitely. Jade is definitely not as popular, so that for me is somewhat of a pro. But it's probably not that big of a deal to put in. But that is something that's worth knowing. Firefly is so hyped up, right? I looking at it, like, she has more likes, I think, on her post than even Acheron did. And Acheron was probably the most hyped character to date. So Firefly is so hyped up. There's a pretty good chance they make her really, really strong because of that. So that's something to be aware of. But the thing that had me face palming, I watched a video. I think it was a YouTuber, a small YouTuber, and he's good videos called like Pancake Breakfast. I don't know him or anything, right? But I think he was talking about this of Firefly's thing being more hyped up than Acheron, and he was like, but then you've got the hot factor, like, oh, but like, who's hotter? I'm paraphrasing a bit here. Maybe I misinterpreted, but who's hotter, Firefly or Acheron? And it's that shit is just like right there. Almost makes me want to not pull for Firefly at all. This almost makes me want to quit the game. Like, I am a 33-year-old man. I'm like 10 to 15 years older than most of you. I don't heckin' know, but like, Firefly to me looks like a schoolgirl. I got to put on my dad mode here for a sec. I'm not a dad. We don't have kids at the moment, but I got to put on the dad hat. I got to imagine my uncle hat. Put on my uncle hat right here for a moment. Guys, the way, and to be fair, this changes depending on where you live in the world. I'm sure there's different standards and stuff, but I live in Ireland, right? I am Irish, and I feel like, when you are like 18, 19, when you finish school and you go to work or you go to college, university, right? That's about the time where most of you, it's no longer appropriate to be into schoolgirls. It is time to move on. Like, please, move on with your life. Go out with someone around your age that's at a similar stage of life. Now, the window for ages opens up when you're an adult, and you could date a few years either side easily enough, and that's totally fine. But I mean, honestly, like, come on, man. Like, yeah, I'm clearly in a different age bracket here, but Firefly to me looks like a little girl, and like, it's a cool, good friends thing, best friends thing going on in the story with the main character who's also very young and all that. But some people seeing this as like a girlfriend stand-in, and I'm like, I am. We're not in the same place here. I'm sorry. We're moving now. Jade is much more appropriate because Jade's an adult. I do find that funny as well. Again, this makes me feel like like a generation older than most people. Let's see for this game, like the mommy vibes, and like a but it's like mommy vibes in a bit of a weird way. Well, for me, it's like, again, I'm that age group where a lot of us are moms and dads. Again, I'm not personally, but a lot of us are moms and dads. Like, that's just who we are. So it's not a weird thing. It's just like, they're a mom? Okay, well, that's probably inappropriate because, they're probably married and have kids. Don't be a homewrecker. What the heck's wrong with you? Oh man, the dad hat is on today as well. I mean, not also to, you should probably go. Jade is rich. That's also maybe a point against her. You probably want to go out with someone in similar socioeconomic circumstances as well. Like, that tends to have the best outcome. But listen, dad hat comes off. Let's talk about the game. Let's talk about the game again and what is going on here. But look, I speaking of these two characters, I personally am not a massive fan, just generally, of like the Firefly Sam thing. I thought Sam was really cool until patch 2.1, let me be honest, in the story. And Sam was like, I really envy you. I'm really sad. I'm like, I don't want a sad mecha. I want a cool, he was a cool badass. I'm just gonna kill everything mecha. That was cool. When it was like the whole Firefly thing, I'm like, that's, for me, makes that way less interesting. But that's bias. I will say what's interesting is it appears that Sam has swords, which Sam in the boss fight, the enemy in the game, does not have any weapons. He just like kicks you and stuff. So that's interesting that it's swords. Again, you got the holding swords the wrong way as well. So that's cool. Totally impractical. That's got to be a point. I won't put that as a point against. Yeah, actually, you know what? I will put that as a point against. Holding swords wrong way. Come on. But we'll put it as a pro. Has swords. Having swords is a pro, but holding them the wrong way, that's a downside. Now, let's talk about that's sort of the character stuff. I will say that I think both of these characters have the potential to be really interesting in the storyline. Like, Aventurine shows, I think, how impactful like a patch can be to really focus in on a character. Both of these characters are obviously, like, Jade is coming to Penacony. Firefly is obviously deeply embroiled in it already. Both of these characters are very likely to feature prominently in the story and have a really cool spot. Probably, I'll be honest though, the character story-wise I'm most hyped for is Boot Hill. After 2.1, I'm like, yo, Boot Hill, let's get him to Penacony. This guy's hilarious. But we'll talk about that more in the 2.2 breakdown when we get the live stream on Friday, like I said. But yeah, that's sort of the vibes of the characters. I think that vibe-wise, I think Jade is super cool. Like, I just love this, that it's the IPC. Stellaron Hunters are like bad guys, but they're kind of nice to the main character. The bad guys are all kind of nice in this game. IPC are kind of bad guys as well. It's like capital. It's like, yeah, we're sort of trying to help you, but we're also like evil capitalist, bastards, right? Evil corporate. Jade has that, like, some dude like crawling up the stairs to try to get to her, maybe, or the money. And yeah, he's just like crawling on his hands and knees. I love this like creepy snake thing. That's super cool. And it has like an apple from the tree, like the apple of Eden, the poison apple, but it's like blood, and it's signing a contract in blood. Like, for me, Jade is way more interesting than Little Girl in a Mecha Suit, but from the vibes generally, it seems that more people are interested in Little Girl in a Mecha Suit than Jade. But again, that's pretty subjective. In terms of gameplay, and this is the problem, I much prefer Jade as a character so far. But I think Firefly is way stronger in terms of gameplay. Like, we got to jump into a cons for Jade. Jade is quantum erudition. Honestly, I hate to say it, but erudition is probably a con overall. Now, that's not necessarily the case, but I think right now it somewhat is. What is the new content that's coming in 2.3? Which is the patch where these arrive. It's going to be this boss-focused content, which is presumably more single-target focused, more hunt-focused. But like destruction is obviously perfect for MOC. You still have you've got all the blast moves, so they're still pretty decent. Not the best, but they're decent for pure fiction. Destruction is probably likely to be really good for the boss mode as well. Destruction is nice and viable. That has to come in as a pro for her. Destruction has to be a pro. Funny enough, again, my vibe as a newer player to the game is, when I sort of initially was joining the game, it was all like, destruction is OP. destruction is the best path. I actually don't think that's the case anymore. I think Nihility is the best. Because Nihility is just OP for everything, like Acheron, for instance. And in fact, we can touch on that. Like Acheron, although she's Nihility, really works. She's very like Argenti, really, like Blast skill, AoE ultimate, and is really all about the ultimates. She's very like an Erudition, Acheron, but she's super OP and everywhere. So Erudition is not necessarily a con, but Erudition is more focused on the AoE. So when you've got the 3 game modes, Destruction in the middle can sort of go quite well into both the others, but Erudition over in Pure Fiction might be good. She might be quite good, actually, for Memory of Chaos, potentially. Maybe. We'll see when we find out, but maybe not. Like, some of the other Eruditions aren't that strong there. It's hard to say. And she's quite unlikely to be that good for the boss mode. So Destruction is just more versatile. That is something to consider. So that's a potential thing. Maybe the bigger pro. Well, actually, let's put in a pro as well here for Jade. Pro. Let me jump into the right spot. IPC synergy. I think that's pretty likely, right? She's a member of the IPC, right? Jade, Aventurine, Topaz, like the 10 Stonehearts. You've got the Intelligentsia Guild as well. Even the Genius Society, like Hertau, synergizes pretty well. Himiko is not really with either. She's a Trailblazer, but Himiko fits in somewhat too. But obviously, Dr. Ratio, the Intelligentsia Guild, the other IPC units, they tend to have really good synergy. Jade is very likely to be a follow-up. This is perhaps even as well something of a point against her, perhaps. But as an IPC unit, they're probably going to be follow-up focused, which is good. Here's the thing. There are already, a lot of possibly similar units, okay? If you think about who are the best units for Pure Fiction, like Jade's probably going to be, if you think about follow-up Erudition, I mean, right now we've got Himiko and we've got Herta. Jade is probably going to be better than those. So she is likely this Pure Fiction. She's likely going to be the best character in the game for Pure Fiction. When you consider that Herta is often like top of the tier lists, and Herta is a 4-star Erudition with follow-up. Jade's going to be a 5-star limited Erudition with follow-up. Himiko's a standard 5-star Erudition with follow-up. Like, Jade is probably going to be insane for Pure Fiction. But, as I said, there's a lot of possibly similar units. You might have a Himiko. Everyone's got a Herta. That's a downside. Let's expand on that. So, Himiko, Herta. From Quantum as well, you've got, that's putting, what, Qingque? Is that how you spell it? Actually, don't, or is it Qingque? Xingshui? And Shui Yi. So this is as well. Within Quantum, you've already got a really good, actually, 4-star Erudition in Xingshui. And I think Xingshui is also a really interesting character. She's got the whole gambling thing. So she's got a fun and unique play style. So that sort of conflicts with Jade a bit. I also think Shui Yi, as a 4-star Destruction in Quantum, is also, again, she's got the Destruction benefit, so she's quite flexible, but she also has got quite a fun play style with like focusing around break and doing lots of toughness damage. Like, she's quite unique. You've got really fun, unique 4-stars for Quantum. That's a pro for Firefly, though. Like, the 4-star Fire is a benefit, right? A big benefit. The Fire, let's actually put it like this. 4-star Fire kind of sucks. Honestly, they kind of suck. Like, Hook. That's your competition. The 4-star Fire Destruction. Hook is nowhere near as good, I think, as Xingshui or Shui Yi. You've got much less competition there. Now, we could see, obviously, more 4-star Fire come in the future. That's probably more likely than the 4-star Quantum. But that's something to bear in mind. Like, right now, your other Fire options are pretty limited. Even in the 5-star Fire, kind of limited, honestly. You've got Topaz, who's quite niche. She's Hunt, but she's quite niche to synergizing with follow-up teams, right? She's sort of not a main DPS that much, really. Honestly, she's more of a sub-DPS, a synergized type character. And then you've got Himiko, who is really focused on Pure Fiction and nothing else. the fire options are quite limited. Whereas, like I said, even just your 4-star options in Quantum are actually quite decent. So that's a bit of a downside. Quantum is also pretty rare. This is something. Quantum weakness is rare. There's not that many. I think it's the rarest weakness, possibly because of Silverwolf. And, let's sell some Silverwolf. So that's a problem. I say a pro is, mono quantum could be kind of good. I think there's a little bit of an anti-synergy there as well, possibly as well. Because, like, right now, a mono quantum team, you could have, let's say you put in Jade, plus, let's say, a Ting Yun, Sparkle, obviously, and then Fu Xuan or Lynx. That's a mono quantum team right there. Maybe you replace the Ting Yun with a Silverwolf if they don't have quantum weakness. And there you go. You've got yourself your mono quantum team. That's pretty cool. Well, a little bit of a problem. Then you don't have any IPC synergy, right? If you put in Aventurine, then you're going to have Imaginary as well, which maybe is not a huge problem if they're already Imaginary weak, but it might be. It slightly I don't think it's a huge deal, but it slightly limits the Sparkle synergy. So we'll see, right? Sparkle's attack boost for Quantum becomes a bit weaker if you swap out a Fu Xuan for an Aventurine. You've got one less Quantum unit, but maybe not a huge deal. That's something that's worth noting. So yeah, I don't know. This is sort of where I'm going. Like, I think that Firefly, from a gameplay perspective, yes, Jade is likely best for pure fiction, but not as flexible. There's a lot of similar units, unfortunately. Quantum weakness is pretty rare. So we'll see. We have to hope it's like an Acheron type thing where her damage just cracked. She's just super good and she's really powerful. But she seems like a bit of a difficult sell, honestly, to me. Even though I really like her character, I enjoy the IPC as like the bad good guys or the good bad guys, whatever. The nice, very, very much gray, quite sinister good guys, I suppose. IPC synergy is cool. I've already got Aventurine. Maybe you do too. People have Dr. Ratio. So IPC is a good accessible. I don't know if I'd say accessible, but it's an attractive new player option. But she might be just a bit too limited. I don't know. Whereas Firefly, let's put in as a con for Firefly. Here we go. Likely to have HP sacrifice in her kit. There's that 4-star light cone. We got it in the story. I think after we met Firefly again in the story, we got the 4-star light cone with Sam on the picture, and it's like sacrifice HP for a damage boost. So likely needs abundance, right? I think so she's probably pretty darn bad with Aventurine, whereas Jade is probably really good with Aventurine. So if you just pulled Aventurine, Jade is very likely to synergize. Firefly is probably terrible with Aventurine because he shields, he doesn't heal. So if she's throwing away tons of HP, she's just going to get herself killed most likely. Especially if she can kill herself. I don't know, maybe she stops at 1 HP. I don't know how it would work, but I think probably going to need abundance. So like Luocha, I feel bad for any people that are taking YouTube super seriously because I saw a lot of YouTubers being like, Luocha is absolutely terrible, but let's pull for Sam. And you're like, like, I think Luocha sort of stands out as probably the ideal healer for destruction. It's also possible that Firefly the destruction units, apart from obviously Imbibitor Lune, he's very much a hyper carry, but Jing Liu and Blade work pretty well as dual DPS. Firefly might actually fit into that, she could possibly be a good dual DPS. Possibly good dual DPS. So there we go. Maybe Jade as well. Like, you run multiple DPS for quite probably for pure fiction. So maybe we'll have to see. Don't know about that. But destruction characters, I would not be surprised if she's a good dual. Actually, will we put that in? I think so. Like, I think there's a good chance she will synergize well with Blade and Jing Liu. These HP sacrificing units. You got Luocha in there to heal them up, and some sort of harmony to buff up both of them. I think that's pretty darn likely. Yeah, we'll see. I do think that fire type is a good one to get. Unfortunately, destruction is really useful. So I don't know. I will say I'm still conflicted. I might skip both of them potentially. Like, I might just go Topaz instead and then potentially pick up Jade in a rerun and have like Topaz be a bit more boss focused, synergizes with Aventurine. I don't know. I really feel like Firefly is going to be stronger overall, but I'm not sure if I like the Firefly. We got to put in I forgot the main con right here, which is a little girl. It's the main con. That's the main con. A little girl. Bro, it's not a little girl. Which is actually a pretty big thing for Quantum, because Quantum are like all freaking little girls. She's not, and that's a pro. So there we go. I am torn. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said, you know, I want Jade to be better, but I think if I was a betting man, and let's say I am a betting man. Let's go. I am a betting man, and I bet right now that Firefly is probably going to be the stronger character, objectively speaking. But we'll see when their kits are revealed. We shall see. And we'll see more details on the 2.2 stuff in a couple of days. So stay tuned for that. I'll give you my thoughts on that and whatnot. Like, I initially going into 2.2 was like, Boot Hill, a hunt character? I don't know about that. But now that they've, revealed new boss mode, that makes, which is single target focused, Boot Hill is probably going to be really strong for that. So that makes him more interesting. And I'm curious to see how Robin works. I've heard that she's really good for follow-up. That could be really intense. Like if there's a Topaz rerun, Robin and Jade, like there's literally zero chance unless you're spending a lot of money to get all of those if you really like the IPC synergies from the follow-up. So that could be, I suppose, appropriate to the IPC, very, very expensive. I don't know. We'll see. We'll talk about that more soon, though. Guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about Firefly versus Jade. Which one are you? I might put up a poll as well. Which one are you going for? I don't know if I can put up polls on this channel. Make sure to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it so I can put up polls. And I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.